rules in Major League Baseball for next season. And I may have met my new dad. We'll talk to Gene Watson on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Or it's podcast. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame. No, it's a podcast. Welcome to the CHGO White Sox podcast, presented to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Sign up using code CHGO365. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets, whether that bet of $5 wins or loses. Welcome into Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I am your host, Sean Anderson, who has no idea if it's a post-game or a pre-game or a normal podcast. I'm being produced today by my pal, Joey Christopoulos.
I can confirm the White Sox have not played yet, but they will play today.
Yes.
Hello, Sean.
And we will talk about that later on in the show. And hello, everyone hanging out with us in the chat. Hello, Joey. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Dan. Hello, Ashley. What is up? On today's show, we'll be talking about the rule changes to Major League Baseball. The automated ball and strike system will be implemented in 2026. What does it mean for the Chicago White Sox? Then we'll take part of that conversation and ask Gene Watson. We were able to talk to Gene Watson, the director of pro personnel for the Chicago White Sox, on Sunday. This was our, I think, best interview. Joey?
Oh, easily.
Okay, easily. No
easily.
offense to and John
lot
Strickland.
of good nuggets about where the direction is going, the offseason, all that good stuff.
Homely's the wrong word for him, but he's just so maybe genuine. I shook his hand, and the first thing I felt was just this massive World Series ring. Yeah. It's like, I'm home.
I was going to say,
this guy's got me. I'm in good hands with Gene Watson.
I was going to say down to earth, except for the gigantic ring on his finger.
And
that was literally probably
two other ones
that was keeping him on the earth. Is
Absolutely.
That heavy?
So we'll talk to Gene later on. I asked him if he sees either Teel or Quero adding defensive versatility to their game. So we'll hear that from the director of pro personnel for the White Sox, and then we will preview the White Sox and Yankees series as a 3-game set takes place between the Sox and the Yankees, taking place over Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We were supposed to do a post-game show today, but hey, stuff happens. I'm now producing a Blackhawks preseason game. Woo! Because that's what people come in for. Or the Blackhawks preseason game.
That's live.
I wish
I
was kidding. The Blackhawks do insane numbers here. People love their Hawks. And, people love Mario and Jay, as they should. But, yeah, we'll be here in Studio B if you're looking for preseason Blackhawks coverage. When you lose 100 games 3 times in a row, you get beat out by preseason hockey. Bum, 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 bum. I guess the funny thing is the preseason hockey game is on CHSN Plus, where the White Sox game's on CHSN. Funny the way it is, but it's Shane Smith versus Luis Heel later on tonight. Let's get into the rule change that happened at 12:49. People thought that the, what was it called? The Rapture.
Judgment Day?
Yeah, Judgment Day was happening, and apparently it's for catchers. Only catchers were having Rapture Day today, as Major League Baseball announced they will use the automated ball and strike challenge system during the entire 2026 season. And the ABS challenge rules are as follows. Each team will get 2 challenges and can keep them if they're successful. Challenges can be only initiated by a pitcher, catcher, or batter, and the request must come right after the pitch. So a manager cannot question it. A base coach, a runner cannot question it. If a batter has an issue, he taps the top of his head. If a pitcher has an issue, I don't think he taps the top of his head, but he makes a gesture similar to the catcher. If you see this from a batter, that means he's asking for a review. Never mind. To signal a challenge. I'm getting ahead of myself. The pitcher, catcher, or batter will tap his hat or helmet to let the umpire know. Perfect. We know the signals.
I think I like it. It's a first rule kind of thing, but I think we need better signals, man. Or we need a flag.
Oh, this makes so much sense. Why else would some of you do
this?
this?
Rub your belly at the same time. We need something a little bit more, something iconic.
I like tapping on the head though.
There's
the throwing of the flag. There's the tap on the head.
Yeah, maybe there's like those gender reveal balls or something like that. Maybe they could toss that up in the air and then it explodes and then I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about ratings, Sean.
Just red flags hanging out of the back pockets of every player might be fun.
Exactly.
But no help from the dugout or other players on the field is allowed. I wonder how that plays out. If a runner is on second and he's screaming to the batter, challenge it!
Signal.
Yeah, right?
Signal.
Is that the bellied? Is that where we go down?
Left nipple.
This
challenge.
is more to signal. Hey, but then each extra inning, a team will be awarded a challenge if it has none remaining entering the inning. And here's the most important thing. The ABS challenge system, powered by T-Mobile's 5G network, uses cameras set up around the perimeter of the field to track the location of each pitch and graphic on the scoreboard as it shows the result of the challenge. So thankfully, we have T-Mobile's the largest network in the nation, 5G network powering this, because if it was T-Mobile's 4G network, we'd be screwed, Joe. Nothing on the yes and of this.
I just know.
I just love that they had to include
I'm conflicted. There's a
they
part of it.
They had to include that it's powered by their 5G network.
Yeah, seriously. I'm applauding the technology. Can it also just make me sad?
About automated balls and strikes?
Not automated balls and strikes, but also the power to probably be able to see you pick your nose at the ballpark as you're eating popcorn, because they're tracking the ball. That means they can track anything in the park.
Oh, so you feel no longer safe. This is now
I feel violated.
Okay, well,
it's always about me.
As you learned at the Coldplay concert, cameras are always on, especially when you're in public.
Well, that's the kiss cam, though.
There's issues with on TikTok right now. There's this girl, Elizabeth Eats NYC, and she has those Ray-Ban glasses that record.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's it's James Bond technology. It's like sunglasses that record over here, and she doesn't ask most of these people hey, can I record you? So that you just, she's talking to herself. She's talking to her glasses as she eats a bowl of pho.
Private citizens.
And then right across from her is a lady just chowing down. This whole time she's going on a monologue about pho in New York City. And, this woman's just eating. And it's that lady didn't ask to be put on camera. And hey, what if she's witness protection program?
Where's this all heading? Yeah.
Outing her.
I don't know about you, Sean, but after this show, I'm going to go to Boston Market and Blockbuster Video and just chill for a while
and be nostalgic.
Yeah.
I'm happy about it because, first of all, I think it's very stupid that umpires can have such an effect on the game. Let's just get the calls right. I feel like the biggest issue is kind of taking away the old school nature of it, and I understand that robots are replacing us all, but this one makes sense because the technology can get it down to the inch, right? Where the human eye cannot. I could scan a grocery box, right? That's why I don't, should self-checkout replace humans? I could take that box and scan it just like you can, but it's more about the chit chat, right? I was a great cashier at Jewel. People loved me. It's a conversation. They don't even know they're checked out by the time they're done, right?
That's where you honed your podcasting skills. Absolutely. Interviewing people.
Come on, what are you making?
What do we got here? A little Aunt Jemima syrup?
You get so many good recipes there, brother.
What's your take on ABS while we're checking out?
But this one is, I think, important, especially when people are, obviously betting on it. But if it's 3-2 and it comes down to CB Buckner, a called strike from CB Buckner, you just kind of at least want to make sure you're getting it right. So I am very happy that this is the step that Major League Baseball is taking, and it isn't much of an imposition. A challenge really does take 2 seconds. He hits his hat, they go up to the booth, they show it on screen. It's a ball, we get back to action. It's a strike, we get back to action. It's really not much of an inconvenience, and that's why I'm very happy about this.
I think that is the biggest key. The first priority, right, is always, especially with sports, is getting it right. Right, and that's the most fair way. And we talk about baseball. Baseball is one of the most fair games, even though sometimes due to the variables, it can seem like an unfair game. But when we talk about the calls, we want to get it right. The other one, Sean, is obviously when we brought replay into baseball was about how much more time was going to tack on to an already long game. As long as it's efficient and we can move the game along and everyone can live with the result because it is the actual true result, I think that's what's going to matter the most.
Yeah, and again, not every pitch will be called by the computer, right? No, it's in his ear.
Robots in baseball. Robots in baseball.
No, the umpire still makes the call. And then
yes,
if it's challenged, that's when the technology comes
because I'm guessworking here, but the numbers for umpires is still relatively high. It's over 90% in terms of the calls that they get correct. Am I wrong on that one?
I believe so.
And I think
a good umpire is usually around 96%.
Right, and look, that's fantastic.
That are around,
yeah, and missing a call here and there, I could probably maybe live with, but as you're talking about in those crucial moments, in those high leverage moments, getting a call wrong, especially whether it was at first base or second base, which they've gotten rid of, now they can do it around the plate. It's probably the right move for baseball. Mm-hmm. And those umpires can still work and everything, but sometimes they have to go up to the booth. It shouldn't really be that big of a deal.
Yeah, we look at the accuracy since 2015. Honestly, here, we'll go through since 2021 because Umpire Scorecard has this data. You look at the accuracy. Derek Thomas, 95% accuracy. Pat Hoberg, 95% accuracy. Edwin Jimenez, 95% accuracy. Alex Tosi, Jeremy Rehack, Alan Porter, John Libka, Austin Jones, and Quinn Wolcott are all umpires with 95% accuracy. And then even then, I mean, you have several that are around 94%. There's some really bad ones that are around 91%, but, even then, Doug Eddings, who's, fairly bad on the back half of this, that's still 93%. So for the most part, they're fine. It's just there's some really bad offenders like your Angel Martinez's, like your CB Buckners. So, it's good for the game, the fact that umpires at least can be checked, right? And it's not much of an imposition. So good on baseball to at least allow more technology to enhance your game. I think it's very similar to the tennis thing, right? I think Brian brings up, are they going to have a flashy T-Mobile AR graphic? Likely, right? And I want it to be better than the tennis in-out graphic because that is the peak of sports technology. We zoom in, 3D, we shift, it's out.
The last question that remains is how does one get kicked out of a game, a Major League Baseball game these days?
Well,
the options are becoming
a bad tag.
Options are becoming slim.
It's got to be challenges
or player on player acrimony. Mm-hmm. Right? Someone throws at somebody, death stare or whatever. But in terms of a player to umpire getting kicked out of a game, the Lou Piniella of the world. Oh, check swing. Okay.
No, but right, Lou Piniella, Bobby Cox's.
Yeah, the two bellies bumping against each other and exchanging expletives and picking up bases and throwing it, antiquated, gone, leaving the game. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of different ways for players to take out their ire on anyone else but honestly themselves.
Yeah, their equipment, their helmets, their bats. I mean, you even bring up ejections. Will Venable has gotten tossed 3 times. We probably won't even see him get ejected again. So we'll have to see what happens. Let's talk about how this will affect the catchers. We do have about 2 minutes left, so we'll get into this, and then we'll have Gene Watson after the break. But let's get to these 2 graphics because I think we can get through them quickly. They're talking about Kyle Teel and Edgar Quero's framing because framing is now going to become a little less important if you do have challenges. If a strike's a strike, it doesn't matter where the ball was caught. It matters where the ball crossed the plate, not where Edgar Quero caught it or Kyle Teel. So what we have here are 3 to 4 inches inside the zone, 2 to 3 inches inside the zone, 1 to 2 inches inside the zone, 0 to 1 inches inside the zone, 0 to 1 inches outside the zone, 1 to 2 inches outside the zone, 2 to 3 inches outside the zone, and then 3 to 4 inches outside the zone. There's 8 categories here, and when you're looking at outside the zone, you want a higher number. You could see the red from Teel. That means he's stealing strikes. When you see a blue number, that means below average. So you can look at the inside the zone numbers. The league average is 95% on 3 to 4 inches inside the zone. Teel and Quero are at 93%. They're pretty much league average. 2 to 3 inches inside the zone. Quero has Teel beat 89% to 86%, but they're both below league average at 90%. 1 to 2 inches inside the zone. Teel 2% better than Quero, 77% to 75%, but they're 2% worse than the major league average. And then on 0 to 1 inches inside the zone, Teel has a pretty large gap over Quero, 55% to 47%, but still Teel is 3% below league average. And you could see just kind of how bad Quero is as a framer by that stat alone. And then you look to 0 to 1 inches outside the zone. Teel 2% lower than league average. League average is 30%. Teel's at 28%. Quero 7 points behind Teel. So again, showing how bad of a framer Quero is. He really struggles on those really close calls. 1 to 2 inches outside the zone. Teel shines there, 2% above league average. Quero, 5% below league average. 2 to 3 inches outside the zone. Again, Teel's able to steal 4% more than the average catcher. Quero, 3% less than the average catcher. And then 3 to 4 inches outside the zone, you're really not going to be able to steal a strike, so that doesn't matter. But it really shows you Teel, a good catcher, average catcher. He's got 1 framing value run so far this year on StatCast. Quero, I think it's -12. We'll have more stats and graphs to kind of depict this difference, but it is a good sign that I think Quero's deficiency will be hidden by these challenges, because if a strike is a strike, it's a strike, right? We're going to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. After the break, we'll hear from Gene Watson, the director of pro personnel from the Chicago White Sox. Stay tuned. We want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365, the place to be betting football this season. Whether it's NFL or college football, head over to Bet365. New customers, sign up with the code CHGO365. When you bet $5, you make a bet of $5. Your first bet of $5. Whether it wins or loses, you get $200 in bonus bets. Again, whether that $5 bet wins or loses. And you could check out all of their great NFL offers throughout the season. On Thursday Night Football, they give you a $10 safety net bet. On Sunday Night Football, they have a $365,000 jackpot of bonus bets that you could split. Place a $10 bet on the first touchdown scorer and get a split of $365,000 in bonus bets if your player scores the final touchdown of the game, payable regardless of if the first touchdown scorer bet wins or loses. So even if, Amon St. Brown scores the first touchdown and the last touchdown, you're a winner on both of them. So, boom. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up using code CHGO365. Deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Must be 21 plus if you or somebody knows a gambling problem, crisis counseling, and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only. We also want to let you know about our friends over at RC, the best cola out there. I am craving some RC Zero Sugar in the office. I have no idea when we are going to get some. I have badgered Jim Cook in his office for RC. It is the pop. Soda used to have some kick. Now it's all about pretty colors and easy fizz. With RC and RC Zero Sugar, you are getting cola with kick. It is not just a soft drink. It is just damn good cola. It's the original cola that doesn't fold under pressure. RG is an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. There's no trends, no gimmicks, and no glow-ups. RC hasn't changed its stripes since 1905 because it didn't need to. Do yourself a favor. Grab some RC at the local store. Stock up for all your end of summer parties. Back to school celebrations, or just watching the game. RC is the move for whatever you're doing. We are back here on the CHGO White Sox podcast, and we got some insight into what the plans are for Teel and Quero for 2026 by talking to Gene Watson, the director of pro personnel of the Sox. Before we get to Gene, just one more shout out to the White Sox. Connor, Scotty, Sheena, their entire media relations team, also Brooks, Gene, and John Triffin for giving us their time. It was an absolute blast. I'm still on cloud nine from the experience. Let's talk to Gene. This is a very illuminating conversation, and we hit everything from Gene's personal life to Edgar Quero, Kyle Teel, Colson Montgomery, and Sam Antonacci. We get deep. We're sickos. Let's go. Gene, what's up?
We are here with Gene Watson, the Director of Pro Personnel with the Chicago White Sox. Gene, welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
You're telling me already about how much you love Chicago, how much your wife has already forgotten Kansas City, if we even can bring that up. What's it been like adapting to a city that you have been to several times as a scout, but now are trying to build up as a front office member?
I think the thing that shocked me the most when we got here was how much this city loves their White Sox and the passion of the fan base. And everywhere you go, every restaurant, wherever you go, and, hey, what do you do? I work for the White Sox. Just the passion for this organization. And it's really what makes it so exciting to know that, we're building this thing and eventually we will win. And I can't wait to see the ballpark every night like it's been the last 2 nights. And so that's been the funnest part of it.
I just have a quick question. Since you've been in the AL Central so long, is there a team that really just bothers you? Like Cleveland bothers me as a fan. Is there a team that over your past 25 years you maybe haven't been able to figure out, or it seems to be one step ahead of you?
I don't think bothers the word. I think respect is the word. And you said it. I mean, Cleveland, they just know who they are as an organization, and they don't apologize for it. And, Jose Ramirez is a great leader, and they do a tremendous job with player acquisition, and they know who they are as an organization. But, it does juice the competitive fire to know that, we're them, and that's the challenge every day.
Your former organization obviously, built up. Yeah, show that to the camera. Obviously knew their identity in 2015. Yeah. How did the Sox, this current iteration, get to know their identity? Is it kind of taking place right now on the field?
It really is. Will Venable's doing a tremendous job of our young players in Mydroth and Montgomery and Teel and Quero, and like making them understand that when we're ready to win, they are the core. They have to be the leaders, and it's kind of, accountability in the clubhouse by the players, and that's what we're really working on. And then just surrounding them with championship caliber, not only players but people. And so you're trying to build something special. It does take a little time, but we feel good about the way it's moving right now.
One thing that's pretty evident from Chris Getz is he wants to hire former players. Will Venable, a former player, Barfield, Bannister, I'll forget all the former players, yourself, a former player. How important is having that connection to the game, going through it yourself and seeing, 25 plus years of baseball in front of you as a player and scout?
I think it's important. I think we witnessed a little bit of it in the draft. When we were in the draft, there were 7 big leaguers and a Hall of Famer in the room. When you're talking about Jim Thome, Phil Nevin, Brian Bannister, Josh Barfield, Chris Getz, I mean, that's a huge advantage because there is a blend to the culture and the way you want to do things. And when you've been down that road and you've been in those moments on the field and in the clubhouse, and you can see the game through the eyes of the player, and you could recognize the heart and the mind of the player, that's a big deal. And so I feel like that we have, an advantage when it comes to that. And the other, for me, the thing that I wake up feeling good about every day is, Josh Barfield was with Arizona. They went to the World Series and lost. Jin Wong was in Kansas City. Will Venable won a World Series with the Rangers. Jeff Head, our director of sports science, 3-time world champion with the Giants. So when you know that blueprint and the little bitty things along the way from, the first day of the playoffs to that last out in the World Series, there's so many little things that happen that you got to be able to identify and recognize and act on. And so when you have those kinds of people around your organization, it plays to a little bit of advantage for you.
I want to ask you, as a former player, how has analytics played into you becoming a scout and then moving into the front office? You mentioned, sports science with Jeff Head. How big is, I can't think of the word now, but, the physical aspects of stances and, proper load and unloading. How important is that for the White Sox to maybe understand the true physical components of your players?
Huge. And the biomechanics, we had a call.
That's the word, biomechanics.
Yeah, we had a call this week, and we talked about hitting, we'll do pitching, and it's educating your scouts and coaches and managers in the field about it, because those are little things that can flip a player's career when you have those things. And the thing that I've never worked a day without analytics. Eddie Epstein, was a pioneer of it in San Diego in 1996 when I was hired. And so it's been an important part of my evaluation, every day. I think it's all important. And the one thing that I convey to Chris all the time is, our job as a scouting department is to give him the best possible information to make a decision. The job of sports science, research and development, give him the most information to bring it all together and make the best decision you can make. And I'd rather have all the information and not need it than need it and not have it. And so that's kind of the approach we take.
That's wonderful to hear from the White Sox. We're here with Gene Watson, Director of Pro Personnel. A player that befuddles me a little bit is Lenyn Sosa. I'm a guy who loves analytics. So when you look at a guy that I think, players that have had 1,000 plate appearances, he's in like the bottom 10% of career walk rate. We've seen a little bit of an uptick in his walk rate since July. But how does a player of his profile make it in Major League Baseball? Is it trying to become a better defender so he can play second base a little bit more often, or is it, all right, let's just become a complete masher at the plate? How do you unlock?
No, I think you've got to have some balance, but he's such a good hitter. And we early on coming here, we had teams that were kicking the tires on him, and the teams that were doing it had some success. And I'm like, let's be careful with this one, and he can hit. You just work diligently to try to, again, first step quickness, positioning, glove skills, and all of those things to try to make him the best possible defender that you can make him. But he certainly does some damage with the bat.
We want to focus now on probably the biggest name the Sox have right now in Colson Montgomery. It seems like he's going to make it at shortstop, at least for 2026. He's been playing one hell of a defensive shortstop. What is the biggest jump he needs to make in the offseason? The 18 homers is nothing to scoff at. I mean, no one at the shortstop position has ever done that. So he's in, really good category of his own. But how does he kind of define himself as a hitter in the offseason? Is there anything certain that he needs to work on?
Well, what I will say, and I talked to Colson this week, and we're just so proud of his journey this year. I mean, rare is the occasion where a guy gets off to the start he got off to, goes all the way back to Arizona, because you're the number one prospect and you have to swallow that pill of going, all the way back down. And the first thing that has to happen is you've got to have buy-in. And he bought in, and Ryan Fuller, our hitting group, did an amazing job of, in those days, building his confidence up, getting to believe and this is going to work. Because no matter what, and this, you see guys in AAA that tear it up and they come up to big leagues and they do nothing. A lot of good players.
Right.
And the gap between AAA and the big leagues has never been wider, ever. So even when it's going well in the minor leagues, that little voice inside, is this going to play in the big leagues? And so for him to do what he did this year is truly remarkable. I told him this week, in my 36 years, I've never seen it from a hitter.
Right.
And he did it. And so with Colson and with all of them, it's about going home and working on your body and kind of decompressing the season. Think about the highs, think about the lows, and really, getting stronger, repeating your swing path, what's your routine, because for all of them this year, it was not just, having to perform in the big leagues. It's managing your family and, the appearances and the expectations and the ticket requests and all the things that come with being a major league player. And so, this time next year, they're going to be so much more comfortable in their setting, and going into Glendale, they'll be much more comfortable about what to expect when they come back to Chicago. And when you get that comfort level and you get the support that they get from Will Venable and his staff, that's when you can begin to really take off as a core.
Absolutely. When we look at the younger players as well, Kyle Teel stands out. He's been having a phenomenal August and September. The question, though, is how do you balance Quero and Teel on a major league roster, having them both have their primary position be catcher? Do you think Kyle is athletic enough to move to left field? Is that in the question here to try to get them both playing time? Because we've seen Quero and Teel both DH. Is it important to get them a different defensive position?
I don't know if that's the case. I've been with a club where we lost two catchers in 2 days, one day and one the next. So, it's next to the shortstop position, it's the toughest position to field on a Major League Baseball field. And we really have three with Corey Lee.
Right.
And so, we feel good about our depth and impact that we have in the position. So I think you just continue to plan on moving forward as it is. And the players will tell you, opportunity will tell you, injuries will tell you. And so I don't think there's any, thought right now of moving anybody around.
We want to talk a little bit about the minor league system, because a lot of the top end talent of the system is graduated: Teel, Quero, Montgomery, etc. How do you restock that, and how important is 2026 and winning that lottery? Is that on the mind right now, and that 25%?
Yeah,
chance?
we're really excited about Braden Montgomery. We're really excited about Hagen Smith, who had arguably his best start of the year. Yeah, Noah Schultz has got the knee right now; he'll be fine. So those three are pretty exciting, but. You continue, every day you have a vehicle to acquire players. You look at Vassell, you look at Shane Smith, and Rule 5 picks that, came out of nowhere. Vassell, obviously a waiver claim, but a Rule 5 pick. You just continue to stay creative in the vehicle to acquire players. And that's, we're going to begin our meetings this week to talk about free agency, and we will go through every player tirelessly on the makeup, the finances, the performance. How do they blend into our core and lead this core and pick them up and hold players accountable? And so, the culture is a really important piece for us, and we'll continue to work on that and continue to use every vehicle possible to make this 26-man roster as good as it can be next year.
You brought up Smith and Vassell, 2 of the 26 that have been phenomenal for you, and it's 2 Rule 5 draft guys. Who do you credit the success of finding 2 players in the Rule 5 draft? Because it's fairly rare you get a successful Rule 5 pick, and to have 2 guys that are going to be on the 2026 roster is a huge win.
I think it's a combination of things. Our R&D department does a tremendous job. Matt Grabowski and Zach Jones, Rod Larson, they did a tremendous job. Our scouting department, as we move forward and we begin to narrow the list down, you start to break ties, and most of it is make up competitiveness and stuff, and then you don't think about a Rule 5 pick just coming in and we're going to give them 3 weeks, and on April 1 we'll make a decision. Like, you're looking into July and August, the dog days of the summer, and how your roster sets up, and is Will going to be able to manage this player and get him in the games, and how is Teel and Quero going to be able to handle him? And so it's really a long play, and the ceiling of these 2 arms were so high that we felt like they were great, and Brian Bannister and his group have done a tremendous job of the continual development of them 3. So again, you got to examine every vehicle to acquire as much talent as you can, and there's the example of 2.
Yeah, absolutely. One's an all-star, and one you could put him in any position, whether it's closer, fighting crime throughout Gotham. Final question for you: looking at the top 30 and even beyond, who's the one prospect that might not be getting enough love, right? You mentioned Hagen, Braden, Noah. Is there somebody in the teens or even beyond that you love?
Sam Antonazzi, that guy can hit, man. He can really hit. He's a grinder, baseball player by definition, and so we're super excited about what his potential impact could be.
How does he differ from a guy like Brooks? Like, because they're both. Brooks is Coastal Carolina. Antonacci was he Coastal as well?
I believe so.
Okay, so both out of the same school. Antonacci's a left-handed hitter. Brooks is a switch hitter. Is Brooks more of that Swiss Army knife where you could put anywhere? Is Antonacci more of a second baseman?
I don't want to jinx Brooks, but I saw Benny Zobrist all the way through the minor leagues.
Okay,
and that's kind of, we all hope.
Yeah,
that's kind of, and very similar makeups too. Brooks is awesome, man. He's a gamer, but Sam can really hit. I don't know if you have the defensive versatility there, but he's a hitter for sure, and we're excited about him.
Wonderful. We were excited to talk to you.
Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely appreciate it so much.
Boom, Gene Watson. And I didn't properly end that one. So that was Gene Watson, the director of pro personnel with the Chicago White Sox. Thank you to Gene and the White Sox for setting that up. We have to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Let us know your thoughts in the chat. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We want to let you know about our great friends over at Eye on the Ball, a company that was started by CHGO diehards like yourself. So if you do want to support some great people, check out Eye on the Ball. If you are an athlete or if your child is an athlete, if they're serious about leveling the game up, check out Eye on the Ball, because the right coach can change everything. And now finding one is easy with Eye on the Ball. It doesn't matter if your kid is just starting out or competing at the top level. You could sign up today totally free at eyeontheball.net. Create your profile, search through your coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming, baseball to basketball, you name it, pickleball, the coaches are out there. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach and take your game to the next level. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Mint Mobile. If you are looking to save some money, Mint Mobile is the place to kind of rub it in your friend's face. Who likes an overpriced wireless bill? Nobody. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to start saying yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month, because there's no unexpected overages. If I, hey, maybe fall asleep to a YouTube video, it doesn't take up all of my data at Mint Mobile. There's no hidden fees. Also, I'm not seeing plus $45 for some random BS. It's just $15 a month at Mint. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/CHGO. That's mintmobile.com/CHGO. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new offer for 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabits. Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobiles.com. Mint Mobile for details. We are back on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already, and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And again, thank you very much to Gene Watson for his time. We thought a lot of great stuff from that. The main thing that I took away was just the consistent naming of people in departments. They have multiple departments, and actual departments they trust, and departments that use data. And I don't think this is the White Sox.
They have an R department and a D department,
They can afford the D in the R&D. That's incredible.
Unbelievable.
They talked about a director of acquisitions. Hello, what? That's a thing. They have a biomechanical, Jeff Head's technical title. Now I can't find it. I had it pulled up. It's director of sports science, but they have somebody who understands biomechanics. Like, this is a new look White Sox. And I think it shows in their ability to help Miguel Vargas adjust his stance, Colson adjust his stance, etc. Like, we've seen some true changes to White Sox hitters, and it's not just, well, hey, try this. Like, it actually feels like their ideas and their ability to adjust comes with actual data. It feels like the White Sox are no longer relying on what the 2002 A's tried to get rid of in, the old scouts that just knew baseball, your Don Coopers of the world, that was the pitching coach until 2020, right? They've gotten away from that, and it's now driven by players who have done it before, but have done it in this new way. Brian Bannister was one of the first people to embrace PitchFX and the data that it could unlock for pitchers, and he was able to work with Zach Greinke, and obviously Greinke was a first-round talent, but he's able to elevate Greinke into a consistent Cy Young winner. And even when Greinke isn't chucking his top mile per hour, he's still able to work because he knows where to throw to pitchers or hitters and where not to throw to hitters because of Brian Bannister's research and ability to convey that to his teammate. Similar with Barfield Getz, like Gene even said it himself, the data's there, and the data can help completely shift a player's career. And I just love hearing that the White Sox are finally embracing it. It was kind of Rick Hahn embracing it when he said, ball go far, team go far, but they had no ability to put that into action. They had no ability to be like, oh, well, you're not pulling the ball enough, and you're not hitting the ball hard enough, right? We can adjust it by doing this. The White Sox can say, you're not pulling the ball enough, you're not pulling the ball in the air enough, and you're not creating enough exit velocity. We need to change something, and we'll take you into the lab and we'll change you. Like, it just can feel confident in my baseball team, man. It's not something I've had in the past 3 years.
Fair or unfair, Eloy Jimenez is a version of the old regime of you would see his batting practice, or you would see the clips, you'd see the swing, you'd see the ball go deep into the night, versus this new regime that would maybe be diving a little bit deeper into his biomechanics, into his stability to be able to play 162, all that kinds of stuff. Is he the poster child of before and maybe what they're trying to accomplish after?
The classic story is Ken Williams going to Cuba and seeing Jose Abreu hit a ball that, was just like a different sound than anyone he's ever
And then he
heard.
walked away,
And
right?
he hit it over the scoreboard. Yeah, right. And then he walked away. Right, like anyone can see that, and anyone can be like, oh, that sounds different, or that ball went really far. But it's more, all right, this is what this player does well, and we could tap into it. But then also, oh, this player got away from what they're doing well. We can understand how to get that player back to that, or this player, like Eloy Jimenez, has not reached their potential or has not gotten back to their 30-plus home run season. Maybe we get rid of that weird crank in his front leg, right, and straighten him out like a proper Major League Baseball hitter. The White Sox never did that. They were just relying on, oh, well, he's hitting the ball hard. As long as he gets the ball in the air, that will happen. But gave him no direction on how to elevate the ball.
Also, I think the work, you've been really consistent about this season, and obviously they've talked about it, but you've brought it to White Sox audiences a lot this year about how it's a team philosophy to attack fastball. And maybe that's also something that was missing from the previous regime. A kind of, and maybe it's not a one-size-fits-all or for every single player, but the philosophy of we're going to attack a certain pitch or we're going to target a certain area of the zone or whatever it is, and we want our players and our hitters to try and work on that and get really good on it for the simple fundamental aspect of if the team attacks fastballs really well, A, you can punish those balls, and B, it makes the team throw more off speed. You see more pitches, you get on base more runs, yada, 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 on and on. But it seems like there's just a deeper thinking and analysis going on than obviously seat ball, hit ball.
It was mostly just saying things, too. Like, oh, well, we want to be better against this. We don't know how, but we want to be better against it. It seems like Chris Getz is like, oh, we need to be better against the fastball. What's the plan to be better against the fastball? And then they have a plan that they convey to players, and the players have obviously been able to hit fastballs better because they had a plan. So it's a breath of fresh air. It's truly undescribable. I'm really thankful that the White Sox have taken this step. I don't know if it's all the steps that are necessary. The A's have never won a World Series in my life, right? But the A's have always been all right, as long as we can avoid 100 losses, right? That's all we care about. It's going to happen, I think, tonight, though, right, Joe? Yeah. Well.
I mean, look, we tried. It didn't happen
because they're at 98.
The fact I know,
at least,
even the fact we were having that conversation, or we were having what's the reverse magic number, but we were having the watch to avoid it. I think is at least saying something, especially when you look at, again, to reiterate, this young core of players that have played the predominant amount in this second half. I mean, these have all been pretty much young guys outside of Benintendi, and even Lenine is 26, 27. I mean, I'm not saying he's a part of the core, but I'm saying he's a young player. Usually when that happens, you lose a ton of games after the trade deadline. That has been the opposite for the White Sox. So
the young kids have lifted the sinking boat. And before we get into prediction of Yankee series, I also can't end the segment on the Gene Watson thing without mentioning he said the Ben Zobrist thing. That's a guy that has been around baseball his whole life. He's like over 50 years old. He has 3 World Series rings, and he's the one saying the Ben Zobrist comp, okay? He didn't even say White Leary.
We're getting it on the record. We're getting it on the record. So next year, if Sean says it, remember,
I'm quoting Gene.
Gene said it first.
I'm just
Sean's
Gene
new
Watson.
dad, Gene Watson, said it first.
He's just so gregarious, man. He's a warm guy. Shout out Gene Watson. All right. Tonight, Sox take on the New York Yankees. Shane Smith versus Luis Gil. It's seeming to be Shane Smith's last start. Maybe they'll sneak him in one more time against the Nationals, but I think that this will be his last start. I think it's going to be a good outing. He's been decent. He's obviously hit some innings that have really fallen away from him, but for the most part, Shane Smith has been very tolerable to watch since his IL stint. The Yankees have pounded the White Sox fairly consistently. In game 1 that they played, they scored 10. Game 2, they scored 10. Game 3, they scored 5. That was in 11 innings. And then in game 4, the Sox did get them, winning 3-2. But I think that Smith goes a decent 4. I think the wheels come off in the 5th, but I think we see like 6 strikeouts from Shane. Luis Gil, I think the Sox get to him because he's mainly a fastball guy. And with this park being so small, you just need to get the ball in the air. And Teel and Montgomery have been able to do that. Baldwin's been able to do that as well. So I could see a homer tonight from at least Montgomery, Teel, or Baldwin, or maybe 2 of the 3. I think the Sox do lose tonight just because even if they get a homer, I don't think it will be enough. I could see this being a 3-1 loss to the Yankees. Tomorrow, there isn't a starter announced. The Sox will be taking on Max Fried. That's a loss. Max Fried's very, very good. The White Sox best hitters are lefties. I don't think that's going to go out and work well for them. Brooks Baldwin's a better hitter from the left-handed side anyways, so he'll be flipped around over the right-handed side. I think Quero, too, is a little bit better of a hitter than the left-handed side. He just strikes out less, so he'll be flipped to the other side. So I think they lose that game. And then it's everyone's favorite, Davis Martin versus Will Warren in the Thursday night matchup. We will have a post game on that one, so I'll predict a win. You know, Joe? We'll get one win.
Stand on business, Sean.
Yeah, I'm going to pick that one selfishly. I want to win, so we're going to take our guy, Davis Martin, to get us a win on Thursday. So I think Sox lose this series 1-2, and it's going to be a real gross 2 games on Tuesday and Thursday. I think that's all we had to do on this show. Joey, anything else?
No, man. Action-packed show.
I guess that's it.
Robots in baseball. Gene Watson
and
is
the
the
shows
best.
happen so damn quick. I always just feel like there's going to be something I forget and remember a little bit later on. Oh, it's that.
I mean, the only one
Andrew
is
Benintendi has been placed on the 10-day IL. He has been
our home run chase. Our home run chase has just been dashed.
Put on ice for the season. He's at 20.
Benny's at 20. Lenin's at 21.
Oh, so Lenine
Montgomery's
is the leader.
at 18.
Oh, okay. So I thought Lenine and Benny were still tied.
They are not. But no,
okay.
the horse, the runner-up horse has now exited the race. So, I mean, it would be awesome if Colson Montgomery goes on a heater, especially in Yankee Stadium, and kind of just pokes a couple down that line. It makes it interesting.
Luis Gil's a nice matchup.
Come on, team leading home run leader, Colson Montgomery. It just sounds right. It sounds
Will
right.
Warren's a decent matchup too. I mean, if he gets 2, he's at 20, and he's got 6 games. He's got 6 more games to get 2 homers.
Left-handed hitters can get cheapies there. Just ask Cody Bellinger. I mean, tasty.
Right. I think we see a Colson homer in this series. Let's go White Sox. All right, we'll see you on Thursday. Appreciate everyone hanging out. We did have the Schriffen interview on Sunday, so go check out Sunday's episode. It is in the B block, just like this Gene Watson interview was. If you missed the Schriffen chat, thank you to Joey Christopoulos for producing this show. I am Sean Anderson. Thank you again to the White Sox for setting up that Gene Watson and John Schriffen interview. We're appreciative, again, of the White Sox just noticing us. You know, we appreciate it being noticed. It's nice. Even the other podcasters. I know Jordan and Nick of Sox on 35th and Tim and Duke, they all appreciate it. And BZ and Todd were happy at Lockdown White Sox and Future Sox with Ian Dillon and now I'm forgetting my guy's name, Elijah. And Sox Machine, poor Josh by himself. But, James later would come on, and then, the 108ers. They're always happy to be there. And they also were at the Line & Kugel Claff Lounge, which is steps away from the 108. So they didn't even have to do too much out of the different for their day. But we're appreciative of that opportunity. We'll see you on Thursday. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.